the mental health committee here at the school, we all got together and decided that we wanted to do something each month that revolved around the positivity of mental health. And so one month we decided to do yoga. And so then it just kind of stuck because everybody liked it, lots of people showed up, and so everybody came to enjoy it.
I was able to take the teacher training, yoga teacher training course, and so I'm able to teach yoga. And I believe in it, and I believe in the positive benefits, so it was nice to be able to offer something that the students wanted to add in to benefit the whole student body. It's funny, sometimes what I hear, often the favorite thing about the class would often be the end, when it's Shavasana, the time when it's the most boring. But I find kids don't have quiet time, they don't have downtime, there's always something in front of them to occupy their mind. So all of a sudden, there isn't, and they like it.
Yeah, that was my favorite part.
Yeah,
the first time I did it,
yeah.
I started laughing uncontrollably because I was never that happy before, because it was just so quiet, nothing was going in my mind, so I really liked it.
It's not so structured that it's quiet and no one's going to come at the door. We laugh, and if something silly happens, or we have fun with it.
So we've done lots of things here at our school. We've done pet therapy, which is during the week of the exams. That's when most of the kids are most stressed. So we brought in some dogs, and so they could come in, and I think it was at lunchtime, wasn't it? Yeah, they came outside at lunch, and they could pet the dogs and interact with the dogs and all that stuff. And then we had this running group that met every, I think it was 2 times a week last year, and we would go for a run around Salisbury, and we just do it all together, and then there was a race.
We are going to do a presentation to the grade 8s on body image,
yeah.
and that'll be led by our students in our mental health group who have been there and who are now much more just comfortable with who they are and
healthy.
what they look like, and they're healthy, and they're
just to show that you can overcome problems, because that's when a lot of them start, is in middle school. So we just go in and be like, you can get through it. It's not the end of the world.
It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I was noticing things like we were seeing a lot of kids in the office, and they would be repeat visits. It would be the same kids, frequent flyers, I guess, to the office, and I just wanted to see them have more success. So I spent my summer doing some research, and everything pointed towards self-regulation. So that was the beginning of the wellness framework here at West Riverview School. And there's many parts. It's not just one program, it's an overall framework. So I guess we started with a couple of things, and then we built on it from there. Every year we've added on to it or tweaked it based on the data. So every year we would survey the kids and the teachers to see how we've moved forward, what we could change or take away or add to make things better. I started with, I think it was a 3-hour PD session with the whole staff when we came back from that summer. And we just looked at how mental health fit into that framework and how we could fit it into our school improvement plan. And we just took it from there. And the teachers totally bought into it from day one. We've never had anybody say, hey, this isn't a good idea. The green room is just one of the things we have going on here in the classrooms. All kids get the zones of regulation. You're probably familiar with that. A lot of schools are doing that. So all of the teachers are teaching that program. Each teacher has a calming kit or a calming corner in their classrooms with tools to help kids calm down or get into the green zone. And from that, we came up with the idea of getting a sensory room so that kids could, if they needed a break, come out and come into a room to calm down. So with the zones of regulation, we called it the green zone or the green room. And so it's used in many different ways. Sometimes it's just one student coming with an EA. Sometimes it's a whole class coming in, they sign it out, and they will do something like Cosmic Kids Yoga, or they'll do a meditation, teach the kids different relaxation techniques. I use it for small group work with kids. Sometimes it's used as a reward for a student who has a good week and they want to come in and spend a few minutes doing yoga or relaxation. They'll come in with their EA. There's always something we can do to help them. And I know, I'm just thinking of one student in particular. He came here and he would be here for an hour a day. and it was rough for that hour. And then it went up to 2 hours a day, and then 3 hours a day, and now he's here full days, and he's being successful. He has strategies, he has tools, he has things he uses. So no one tool is going to help every student. It's different for everyone. So I guess we have to step away from black and white thinking and a punitive approach to a therapeutic approach to me, and that's how we're going to help those kids be successful. Yeah.
Well, at first, when we did have our information session, as any change, it's sometimes difficult and sometimes scary, but our parent population has been very supportive. They're looking at this as why not try something new and let's support. And the feedback we've been getting has been nothing short of phenomenal, because everybody's excited. Parents are saying that the morale in the school is lifted, the kids are happy. The parents are happy, there's something new, and we had some of our kids that did have chronic absences. We've not missed a day of school. We've seen the rate of behaviors drop because everybody belongs somewhere. So that's been phenomenal, and the parents are key players in all of this because they've also changed the language on how they've approached things.
Right after recess, or right after lunch every day for 20 minutes, we've incorporated 5 different groups that they rotate around every day in the week. And the groups are yoga, mindfulness, zones of regulation, training, just different strategies that they get an actual teaching lesson for 20 minutes every day that will help them build up as they go to middle school. They'll be used to that language and that training, and then into high school. We're moving away from the homeroom classroom 100%. It's complete PLC for 6 teachers downstairs, where they only have a home base, which is their peer group. And after that, for groups for reading, writing, and math, they are all broken into their level completely, rotated every 6 weeks based on their needs. And then that carries on into the direct teaching in the afternoon with the mindfulness and yoga and self-regulation. And the teachers are owning all of the students. So downstairs there's roughly about 80, 90 students, and all of the teachers are PLCing together to come up with plans for those kids.
And the students don't identify to one teacher in particular saying, this teacher is my teacher. They're saying, today I'm learning out of the jungle room, or I'm learning out of the superhero room. So they are identifying with a room. So it doesn't really matter which teacher or which kids are in there. It's a whole approach. So.
And the teachers rotate, so they're not identified with a room either, or a level.
We had to look at what was happening within our school, and we really had to look at our own student population. We looked at different models, but really what it came down to was what our students needed. How about you?
Yeah, so it was very, very natural. One day, one of our students was upset, and another student walked by, and they made the conversation of, I remember you, last year you used to throw chairs. And so he said, yeah, I don't anymore. So I said, do you have any advice for this little guy? Because he's having trouble this year throwing chairs. And it was very neat that he said, well, you know, you get those balls that have that jelly in it, and you just squeeze it really tight, and you feel like you're doing something wrong, but you're not. You're getting all your anger out, and then you don't throw chairs. So the little boy that was having trouble said, oh, I want one of these balls, and they had a nice interaction together.
It's one of the pieces that the students wrote for a title. My school blew up its walls, and it was all about how it affected that child in a positive way, and how he's being able to work at his own pace and either go ahead or fall back a little bit if he doesn't understand something, but that child is free to explore his own instruction on his own with facilitators.
So I'd say probably before all our system change and changes in how we look at and deal with mental health was that it really wasn't talked about. And I think when we were working with students that were at risk, we were really spending a lot of time working with the behaviors that were a result of that, but we really weren't at the time backing up and thinking about, well, why are these things happening from a mental health perspective? A really good example would be attendance. So before we really started to tackle attendance in a systematic way at the school, we just maybe wrongly assumed that students were just missing time because they were skipping, and when we started to realize the attendance problem really wasn't about kids just skipping and not caring about school, it was because most of them had significant mental health problems. And I remember when Julie Alain started in her role working with attendance, it soon became almost like a social worker guidance counseling, where she started to really work with these families directly and start to understand what was going on and start to help them access services.
They would miss 1 or 2 days because of illness, whether it mental illness, physical illness. Then they would miss another few more days, and the reason wasn't maybe the original reason. The second reason was they didn't want to be called out in front of the class. It snowballed because they didn't want to get in trouble. So we really needed to look at how we were communicating with students. We've integrated a restorative practice system where one of our teachers, Bev Keenan and Allison Bartlett, work really diligently and closely with these kids who are making some mistakes and getting them to understand why they did what they did, how they can make things better, and what would they do next time. And the work that's coming out of these children is amazing.
So we have an advisory system. We're second year into that. It takes place between second and third period on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Advisory is for providing an opportunity for every student in the building, an opportunity to connect with another adult and connect with students that they might not necessarily meet.
Well, interesting enough, there's about a quarter of our staff who are trained in mindfulness. So we all took an online course in mindfulness from mindfulschools.org, and some of us took the second level. So now we're implementing that through, and we use advisory for that, and we go into advisory, and we've done several sessions on building resiliency, zones of regulation, mindfulness meditation, and learning self-regulation. So we're not only teaching the students in the room, we're also having the teacher interact and learn as well. It's front-loaded for many of the students, so we have plans in place for them. The ones that we're aware of, like Sarah said, now that people are willing to talk about things too, we're getting to the function of the behavior, we're getting to the story behind the behavior, so then we can put a plan in place for these students and their families and their teachers to all work like a wraparound approach to get the student to function better in school. And that takes a system. That takes leadership, that takes a system, it takes everyone on board and buying into the system of what we're trying to do for everybody, not just the student, but that helps the teachers as well and all staff really. So it's been 7, this is my 8th year here, and the changes have been, there's been a lot of changes for the better for everyone.